Actually heard we're getting a Portillo's around here, which is, I think, kind of like Gray's Papaya.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure Portillo's is like a Chicago dog, which is a very unique dog that you will not find anywhere else in the country unless it's called a Chicago dog.
Right.
Whereas I'm pretty sure a New York dog is probably closer to what I'm used to.
So they have Italian beef, which is a very popular option. The Polish sausage is also like one of my favorites at Portillo's. They get the Maxwell. That's another sort of Chicago-y thing, I think.
Never heard
of the Maxwell Polish.
So maybe it's not like a Gray's Papaya at all.
I have no idea what Gray's Papaya is. It sounded like it was a hot dog place, but Portillo's is more than just hot dogs. You would ask a Chicagoan, what's Portillo's known for? Would they say Italian beef? Would they say hot dogs? Would they say Maxwell Polish? I have no idea.
They might say the milkshakes, which
the chocolate cake shake.
Yes, yeah, not that I've heard of.
We take a piece of chocolate cake and some ice cream, and we blend that shit up. You just drink it.
Yeah, that is what it is.
That is exactly what it is. This is HIMYM Superfans. Hey there, Chris Venezia.
Hello, James Hamilton.
This is the podcast where we talk about the CBS comedy How I Met Your Mother.
And this week, we are going to ruin the show for you.
That is your spoiler alert. We are going to talk about plot points for the entire series.
Right.
This week, we were going to watch Moving Day, a.k.a. Stuff, Part 2.
Yeah. There weren't some episodes in between Stuff and this one. You wouldn't have known.
Yeah, this is what happens immediately after the end of Stuff. It originally aired March 19th, 2007. Written by Maria Ferrari, who wrote a couple other episodes. Cupcake, one of my favorites.
Oh, cool.
And Atlantic City. And this one was directed by Pam Fryman, who, side note here, Chris, she actually held up the production of this episode by a full day by insisting that they reshoot the nude scenes with Lily and Marshall again and again and again.
How about the one with Marshall coming out of the bathroom covered in toilet paper?
Yeah, the one they had him come in on a Saturday.
That's rude. Although I bet Jason wouldn't have minded. I hear he always liked the food trays that they had set up anytime they had to work. That was his favorite part.
That's why they got him. They just lured him in with food. So, Chris, what do you remember about Moving Day?
Moving Day. Barney steals the moving truck. It goes to a sitcom realm that, like, it's difficult to even appreciate sometimes for me. Like, when something like this happens in the show, like, friend does something to another friend that they cannot do. They're just not allowed.
Yes.
To maintain the friendship, you
Right.
cannot do the thing that they did, and it's irreal. It's not okay. And Ted says it's not okay, and he even says that Barney's pissing him off and leaves. But it doesn't cause more damage to the friendship. It is odd.
Yeah, Barney is set up as a friend who it's difficult to be friends with, but this is the sitcom-y moment of the show. Why you would forgive this guy who stole your stuff and made you go through all these hoops. Like, that is over the
It's
line.
all of his stuff.
Yeah.
It's all of your possessions. Like, if something happens to the truck, like, not even something that Barney does. Like, let's say somebody else steals the truck.
Right.
Now Ted's stuff is all gone, and it's Barney's fault. And even with his crazy, stupid money to replace all of Ted's junk, I don't see how that would be okay.
You would never replace those objects that morph into attractive, busty women.
Right, you can't, because some things can't be replaced.
Yeah.
Some things are sentimental value only, and were bought in Europe, or they don't make anymore, or you could buy another one, but it's not the one that you were given.
Right.
So, yeah, that was weird. I think instead of forgiving Barney when Ted figures out where the truck is, he gets revenge, which feels just about as good as forgiveness, and also I think it's something that Barney respects more than forgiveness, is to have revenge taken upon him.
Barney respects the touche, the mea culpa.
Mm-hmm.
So we're coming to the end of the season 2, and this is setting up the end of the Ted Robin part of the story.
Yeah, for now.
They don't break up in this episode, but they promise to move in together. They have this big fight. And in this episode, they don't move in together. And they start to reveal some of these more deep-seated concerns in their relationship. Robin's uncomfortable having him in the house. Ted is uncomfortable he doesn't feel like it's home.
Yeah.
So it's near the end of the Robin story.
It is, and I think that there's some things that they could have done differently to avoid some of those pitfalls that they wouldn't know, because to my knowledge, neither one of them has lived with, a significant other before. The moving into Robin's place and not feeling like you can put your feet up on anything, they both make good points, and that's fine. But actually, picking a different place, both of them giving up their places and getting a new place together,
third mutual territory.
Yeah, would have probably been a lot easier to work with in the relationship, instead of being like, well, you live at my place,
right.
instead of our place. And then Ted could get a table that he can put his feet on that isn't where Robin eats her dinner.
Right.
That actually the table that we're using right now to record this is where I eat my food, and I probably would say something if somebody put their feet on it, or at the very least wipe it down when they leave.
Right.
Which I put my own feet up on here, but they're my feet.
Right, yes. It's your own damn place. You do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. So if I had a significant other move in here and then put her feet up on the table, we'd probably have to talk about it. Not like a big deal, but we've got to hash this stuff out. I think the third party place, like you said, the third neutral place, let's get a new place together would solve a lot of problems.
Right.
So we're going to, as we have been doing, watch the episode while we talk about it. You can sync up or you can not.
If you're drinking along with us, take a shot every time you see Marshall's nipples.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a fairly nipple-heavy episode. Not the most, I would say. There's Hercules.
Yes.
And then there's also the one that was a few episodes ago where he's rubbing his nipples.
Right.
Although, is that where you have to that should be one where you chug a beer as long as he's rubbing his nipples?
Yes.
Because you'll probably finish the beer before that scene is over.
Yeah.
So he goes to town for a while.
Yeah, he does.
But that's a different episode. Let's talk about this one. So Barney wants to rent Ted's former room from Lily and Marshall, so that when he picks up a woman at McLaren's, he need only take her upstairs.
I live right upstairs.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this little bit of sleaziness of Barney, and a little bit of behind the curtain. We've never seen this part before.
Yeah.
Yes, there is this 23-minute cab ride to Barney's awesome bachelor pad with the Hobigon.
Yes. Yes, the Fortress of Barnitude.
Right.
So yeah, 23 minutes. A lot can go wrong in that time, it turns out. I don't know. I'm going to talk about this woman that's flashing the police officers. I have heard that it is not illegal to be topless in a woman in New York City. And if that's true, would that be something that they would get pulled over for?
Maybe that's a pre-2000, or that's a post-2007 law.
Right, there you go.
They freed the Tatas since then.
It could be. I don't even know if that's true. That's just something that I heard.
Yeah.
And who knows how reliable that is.
Also, they could have just, pulled her over to give her a stern warning about sticking half your body out of a moving vehicle.
That actually probably is illegal.
Right, yes.
Even in 2007.
Ma'am, you seem a little intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know this gentleman?
Oh, right,
Do you know where you are? Where are you going?
Right. Are you giving consent?
Yes. And I love this joke here with the moving boxes. One is the sweaters marked Bill Cosby.
Oh, yeah, Cosby sweaters, yeah.
And the other one is the box of pot lids.
Box of pot lids, right, which actually comes up as a plot point in this episode.
And actually, if you look closely in later episodes of the series, whenever there's a moving scene, look for a box that has the words pot lids written on it.
I will do that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I do like this scene here where Robin and Ted are receiving the sword from...
Yes.
I love how Marshall presents it in an honorable way.
Yes.
And there's this little lovely moment between Ted and Robin. Talk about that, Chris.
I can't, unless you're talking about the running her through thing.
Right, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he's doing that.
Well,
I need to put on closed captioning.
I like that scene because it's kind of like in other episodes that don't focus on them, they'll show us a little nod that they're together, like like in Arrivederci Fiero, the hugging from behind. This is another sort of little coupley moment where if you were with someone and you got a sword, you might playfully run her through.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah. That it was. Well, I've got this sword, it's like, I'm not serious, and then I'm going to run you through with a sword. Because it turns out they are sharp, and he could do that.
Yeah. It's dangerous.
So Barney's got a quiz that he got from a magazine that he then transcribed to a yellow tablet, a yellow legal pad.
Yellow legal pad.
He probably actually got already from robbing Ted's truck.
Right.
Because he could have already taken the truck and grabbed the yellow legal pad.
Well, he doesn't take the keys yet, but I'm sure he stole that yellow legal pad from Ted at some point in the past.
Right.
This also sets up just a little bit of this flirtiness with Barney and Robin here. It's a little inappropriate, but it's the first time he outright says you're gorgeous and you've got boob-shaped boobs and shiny hair. Like, shiny hair. Why would you say shiny hair? You noticed her hair, Barney?
Yeah,
or are you looking at my girlfriend's hair?
And her boobs, and she says she's not.
We all noticed the boob-shaped boobs.
Well, yeah, I mean it's hard not to notice any boobs because they stick out.
Right. Yeah.
Him talking about Robin. That's actually one of my favorite Barney Robin moments ever. Is she's like, I'm not wearing makeup. He's like, God, you're beautiful. Like, he had no idea.
Yeah. And that's the beginning of Barney and Robin, right there. She almost moved in with some other dude.
Right. I think it might have been before when they were playing Battleship in season 1. But this episode makes a bit of a difference in that the shiny hair thing. I do want to say that actually is an attractive quality to me. I don't know if it's that the hair looks more healthy. If that's what it is, it like triggers something in me. Like, this person is healthy. They'd make a good mate because they have healthy hair.
Yes, they've received proper nutrients and can care for your young.
Yeah, exactly. Here's some nips. So you got a drink. This is Marshall and Lily sitting on the couch naked. Some well-placed objects to cover up, mostly Lily's parts because Marshall's good and covered all a new dart.
Yes. I recently watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and that is really what Jason Segel's thighs look like. He's real naked.
Yeah,
in that picture.
There's a movie where he didn't mind going full Monty.
Yeah.
He couldn't do that on this because this was on CBS.
Right. Yeah. That was what he did on Saturday for Pam.
Oh, Pam.
I like your idea of getting a third apartment for the two of you. This is so weird that he would move into Robin's. Look at how everything's already set up in her house according to her aesthetics and her design choices. I mean,
yeah, and it's funny, and that's not dissimilar to how things are with me and Mother Van Dan, where it's like I already had this apartment furnished, and he moved in. I'm like, yeah, but we already have all this stuff.
Right.
It's already out. I would hate to box that up to put out your stuff. And he's real good about that. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a crap. But that is funny. That it's a concept that I'm familiar with. That if you already got everything just so, and somebody else comes into like your space, why in the world would you change anything? Like, why does Ted think that he's going to put a TV on the wall in the bedroom or? Why did he bring the pot lids? And later on in this episode, why did he take the microwave? Like, Robin has a microwave. I don't care if we've never seen it, which we probably have. I'm sure she has a microwave, or if she doesn't, It's because she hates microwaves.
Right.
Like, there are some people that, like, will not use them.
And Canadians.
That could be a thing.
It's a well-known Canadian fact. The scene in the kitchen where Ted tries to find a place to store his pot lids, it's ridiculous. Like, why would you store pot lids when you don't even have your pots? And plus, Robin, like we said, Robin already has all that stuff. But it's a metaphor. Like, Robin doesn't even have a space in her cabinet for Ted.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like he could stay down in the storage space in the basement. The sword, though, she could have brought up the sword. Like, here she's like, about the sword. She doesn't say you can't hang it up, but that's where that's going.
Right.
There's no other direction that conversation was headed other than we're not going to hang up the sword. Like, she could have said something when Marshall was handing him the sword, but I guess, that moment seemed really important to them. Like, it would be very uncomfortable to say.
She was being polite to Marshall. I was like, well, as soon as we get home, I'm just going to put that in the storage space.
Yeah, in the basement.
I like...
So Barney's phone call.
Put on the suit, Mr. Mosby. I love this bit with Barney putting on this fake voice. And where's he calling from?
I don't know. I mean, it's probably near McLaren's.
Yes, it could be at McLaren's for all we know, but it
looks like a phone booth.
Yeah, it's lit so dark, and I mean that's to match the weird "I'm a mysterious stranger" vibe. But I love it that he delivered a suit to Ted, forced him to come have a drink with him, and then criticizes his shoes.
Yeah, because his shoes are gone.
Yes,
Barney has his shoes. But yeah, Barney's phone call in 2007 had they not yet removed all phone booths? Because there was a whole movie about like taking out like the last phone booth in New York, I think it was.
Yes, this movie about this guy who's in a phone booth the entire time, and he couldn't leave the phone booth, and it was all about all the phone booths they were going to remove. I don't remember the name of the movie.
It was Speed.
I think
the bus that wouldn't slow down.
I think it was called Telephone Closet.
Telephone Closet. Superman changing room? Superman dressing room.
Or on the streets of New York City, bathroom.
Oh, take that, New York. People pee everywhere. So Marshall and Lily are a little sad that they don't have Ted around.
And it is nice that they redressed the set, the apartment.
Yeah.
It looks very empty.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Ted's drafting table's gone, and that took up a big part of the set. But also his Renaissance flair and...
Yeah. And also, I love how cool and confident Ted is doing the wingman thing. He's very good at it. I think he just doesn't like doing it.
Right.
For the most part.
Right.
Like, the one's like, it's like, oh no, this episode looks really old. And Ted's like, well, that's an old TV.
Yeah.
Just like real matter of factly, like he was so ready for it. It just seemed.
He has. It shows that he had practice. Like we've seen a lot of episodes where Ted's like, oh, I don't want to go out, Barney. I don't want to lie to women. But this is clearly evidence that he's been doing that.
Yep. And here's some more nips from Jason.
Yep. 2 more.
At least
shots.
one. At least. Okay. There's the other one.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, he is trying to dry off with toilet paper because apparently Ted had all the towels. That's far less believable than anything else that I already said was not believable to me because you get your own towels.
Yeah.
Like, no, nobody should be using my towel and I shouldn't be using anybody else's towel. You get your own towel.
It's always important to be prepared and bring a towel.
Yes.
So here we get a return to the laser tag arena we have not seen in a while. It looks like they've gotten a few upgrades, some steel barrels and an unexploded bomb.
Yep, I do like that they call it a space barrel for like no reason. I mean it's as good. It actually reminds me a little bit of Mass Effect with the space hamster.
Oh yes,
it's actually just a hamster.
It's just but we're in space.
Yeah, but it's not from space. It's from Earth.
Yeah.
Screw the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, so Ted calls Robin to say that I'm still out with Barney. She's doing fine. Yeah. She's enjoying. She's already doing the thing that she's good at.
Right.
She's doing her own thing.
Yeah.
At home.
She had a nice bubble bath and a nice cigarette.
Yeah, she did.
The last cigarette ever.
Well,
not.
No, but it is. Ted doesn't like it.
Right.
So it's funny that she hides it from him.
Right.
Which is also not a good sign.
Just like her gun, what we assume gun collection and her subscription to Guns and Ammo magazine.
Well, she keeps one in the nightstand, at least in the next season.
Yes.
When Gael is living with her, she pulls out the gun out of the nightstand and chases the freeloaders out of her living room. But another thing about her place, it's not just that it's completely furnished. It's that it doesn't seem like it's that big, necessarily. It's like possibly moving into a smaller space.
Right, yeah.
And Ted clearly has a lot of stuff. Actually, the apartment with Lily and Marshall being in it by themselves now still had some things. They did furnish it differently, like you were saying. But it's not like the episode stuff where Robin thinks that Ted's been robbed when he puts away all of the stuff that he got from ex-girlfriends, which means there's a little discrepancy there. It's like not everything in the apartment is Ted's. Most things, but not literally everything.
Right.
Because otherwise there'd be nothing left.
And plus, when they show the moving truck later, there's an awful lot of empty space in there for the actors to perform.
Yeah.
And even when they were loading it, they were stacking boxes to the very edge of the truck.
Yeah.
And by the time Barney drove it around the block, he had rearranged everything and set up the bed.
Yeah. And about that, I know we're not there yet, but Ted getting revenge on Barney. Barney's totally got it coming. That's all fine. I feel bad for the woman that's in the back there too, because like Barney could be crushed or hurt or seriously hurt or killed in the process, and I'm not sure that he doesn't deserve that. It sounds a little harsh, but let's just roll with me for a minute here. Right. But the woman in there, like if she gets hurt, that's on Ted. So that's probably why they don't show very much of that.
Yeah. Ted did not consider the welfare of the complete stranger in the back.
Right. I guess he was a little off his rocker at that point.
Right.
Because now he has to take a cab. Now that he figures out where his van is, the moving truck, he has to take another hour-long cab to get back there. But Robin already has a pretty full life, and she's like most of the time either happy doing her own thing at her place or sad doing her own thing at her place, which we've seen in the one episode, Nothing Good Happens After 2 a.m. But it is what she knows,
right? Is
doing her own thing in her own place, whether she's having a good time with it or not. And so adding a person to that, I think, would be challenging.
Plus, if you notice, the 5 dogs are not in this episode. The real reason is because Josh Radnor almost died last time.
Because he's deathly allergic to dogs?
Yeah. They've also got electricity in this van. It's pretty sweet setup.
Yeah. I've actually moved quite a few times, and I don't recall there being outlets in the back. But there might have been, and I just didn't notice. But I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it seems less likely. Possible, like 10%.
Right. Another still image from this episode that I love is right after Ted hangs up the phone and he's driving the truck away. That just big grin on his face.
Yeah.
You never see that before, but he's just so happy with himself. You said maybe he's off his rocker, maybe he's high on endorphins.
Yeah, he's snapped a little bit. He's unhinged, and he's excited. This isn't just revenge about stealing his stuff. This is also, in a way, I think, revenge for Ted against Barney for all of the things.
All of the things.
Like, yes. I got you good now.
Yes.
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Right. And also there might be a moment of, like, realization there. It's like, finally, I got my stuff. I'm happy now. But damn it, Barney might have been right. And I think Robin and I should not move in together.
Well, that definitely happened. He and Robin get to talk about it after he tortures Barney for a little bit. And and then Ted's come down back to his normal, pleasant Ted self. It's like he's definitely figured that out. And I mean, I think he was a little mad at Barney at McLaren's when Barney tells him that, because he turns out that he's right. And it's not about the what Ted called the place. I mean, he's not lived there for one day. He's not slept there one time as a person who lives there anyway.
Right.
And so, like, calling it Robin's place is completely normal and actually still accurate.
Right.
So that didn't seem like some sort of Freudian slip to me. That Barney's like, and now you know that it's not your place. Like, it was the part about him having such a good time without Robin, and that he wasn't comfortable there, and Robin wasn't comfortable having him there. That part was real.
Right, and he got pissed off at Barney when he heard that. He goes home, and all he wants to do is relax, and Robin's there to bust his balls.
Yeah.
Don't put your feet on the table. No, I don't have that movie because you think that's stupid. He came home upset, and he got more upset.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of those things was. If he had his stuff, maybe it would have been a little different because he would have had his movies.
Right.
But even then, yeah, she's like, well, why would you have something? Why would you have a movie that wasn't made by John Woo?
Right.
So, if he'd had his movies, he could have been like, well, how about this movie? She still doesn't care for those types of movies, so it still probably wouldn't have worked out well, even if he had his stuff.
Right.
Like, well, let's watch this one. All right, I'll put my feet up.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars, right? She doesn't care about that.
It's also, we talked about Ted's revelation. It's also a revelation for Marshall and Lily, and that's also one of the last episodes in this. That's also one of the last scenes in this episode, is after they'd dried themselves off with toilet paper and got stuck on the toilet for hours because Marshall bought everything except toilet paper.
Yes.
They realized that we need Ted too.
Yeah.
Then sometime later they decide they don't need Ted and they move out on their own anyway.
Yeah, and that's fine. And maybe they've grown between now and then. Yeah, it's like it does remind me a little bit of what is salt and pepper without cumin?
Right. Right.
It's Lewis and Clark without their canoe. So yeah, it's like throughout the years it's actually been a fairly functional 3-person relationship.
Yeah. Well, yeah, their first time together, Ted was involved. So
yep, he was there.
They were there for a lot of first things.
Bed adjacent. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's pretty close to a 3-person relationship.
Yeah. One more thing I want to mention, this tag at the end of the episode. I love that they've been doing these tags, these little gags at the end of the episode. It seems like they've been doing them more often in season 2, or at least in the last couple episodes. But this little vignette is Neil Patrick Harris as David Letterman doing the top 10 list.
Yep.
Obvious that it's a little homage to Carter and Craig's former gig as writers.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they weren't listed as the main writers of this episode, but I'm sure they were in the writer's room for every single episode to give their final blessing or be like, no, that will actually contradict something we're working on much later down the road.
Right.
You can't have this person say or do this thing. But yeah, either they came up with it and then just didn't get a writer's credit for this episode, or the writers, their assistant writers wrote this, and then they're like, yes. That's awesome,
yes.
Good job. But yeah, it's an homage to their former boss.
Yeah, and I just love that because the top 10 list is sort of celebrated as some sort of comedy writer's rite of passage, or there's whole documentaries about how you write a top 10 list and
really
why number 7 is always terrible and why number 2 is always the funniest, or
wow, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a brilliant web documentary out there about this. To add on to that, it's a New York show. We've got New York writers.
Yeah,
and it just seems like a celebration of we finally got our own sitcom, and to prove that we're not just hack sitcom writers, we're going to take the comedy litmus test. We're going to give you a top 10 list.
Right.
And here you go. Just as David would have delivered it.
Yes.
So
right.
it's a championship for Neil as much as the writers.
I think so.
And I even love that in Neil's performance, he tosses the card and they hear that glass breaking.
Yeah, the shattering. But then in this, the glass actually breaks. But yeah, you're right. It is in a way them Bays and Thomas saying yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
This is the end. It's near the end of the second season of a very successful sitcom. I don't have the data to back this up right now, but I'm pretty sure it was in the top 5 of sitcoms at the time, if not the number 1 most watched. It was very popular.
Yeah.
And so, so we made it, and the top 10 list, I think, is a way to express that idea.
So, join us next week for Bachelor Party. That is the one with Marshall's Bachelor Party and Lily's Bachelorette Party with the giant penis.
Well, I mean, it's a sex toy.
Giant fake plastic novelty penises.
Yeah, right. It's not a real penis.
Right.
Actually, as far as real penises go, Brad at the bachelor party gets lost for most of the bachelor party, and then as they're leaving, they see him and pick him up, and he's completely naked.
Yes.
No questions asked.
No questions asked.
But a lot of penises or penis-like things in the next episode.
Yes. So join us for that.
Yeah.
if you're interested in that.
There's other stuff if you're not. There's
Yeah.
other stuff involved in that. There's a few Sex and the City references that I won't get.
Oh yes, you would not, because you're such a Samantha.
I don't know what that means.
That's I don't either.
Yeah.
But that's a real Carrie thing of me to say.
We should actually try. You don't even know what you're saying. So check us out, facebook.com/groups/HIMYM superfans.
We're also HIMYM Superfans on Instagram and YouTube. And I am at HIMYM_James on Twitter.
For all your tweeting needs.
So check out the Instagram for pictures of the cutest, the most adorable dog ever. And the YouTube page for some exclusive episodes we have not released in podcast form.
Ooh, exclusive.
Yeah. Yes. That's all for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.